Welcome back, Nick Lenz. Comic Corner, Classic / Non-Classic. This is episode number 1066 and Doubleshot number 960. That was 66. Yeah, that was an actual year. Yeah. Yeah, the year's infamous in the UK for the Norman invasion. Yes. I love bringing up history occasionally, but yeah. This, of course, has nothing to do with history. This is basically focused on Conan the Barbarian. But first up, now these two trades are published by Dark Horse, but the first one contains issues that are published by Marvel Comics. This is The Chronicles of Conan, Volume 1, which collects the first, I believe this is the first 6 issues of the series, right? Actually, first 8 issues of the series. Now, the issues themselves are written by Roy Thomas. Yep. The artwork is by Barry Windsor Smith. Now, the thing that's bad about this trade, the thing bad about this trade is the fact that the book doesn't have the covers from these first 8 issues. Yeah, these issues published from 1970 to 1971. Yep. That's one thing I thought was a little weird about this. The fact they didn't throw these in here. They even list off the publication dates of these issues. And here's Conan in his first appearance. Yep. And this is from the Conan the Barbarian series. Yeah. Roy Thomas is basically this is his book for like first 115 issues of the series. This is all about the early stuff for Conan. Like there's basically now I should point out though, he wears his outfit in all 8 issues. It's just a loincloth with a belt, this strange helmet he wears, gauntlets, the sword he gets in issue 2. Yeah. And he's put as a Chimerian. And for the first couple of issues, he's wearing chains around his wrist because he wants to go after people who imprisoned him. That's simply just of it. And this book is just series of one-shot adventures for Conan, but it does slowly build up the character, and these are good classic stories. Give this book a 10 out of 10. Really, really good. Next, moving on to the year of 2000. I believe this is 2002, right? These issues published. Though the trade came out in 2005. Yes, 2005. This is Conan, Volume 1, The Frost Giant's Daughter and Other Stories, written by Kurt Busiek. Yes, Kurt Busiek, who is an old writer. You might think, but here's the thing. He's been writing since, the late 80s. Unlike, let's say, Roy Thomas, who's been writing since the 60s. He actually just came back to doing more. He actually just came back to do an issue of... he came back to do an issue of Cyberpunk Conan recently that came out just this week, and he's doing a whole arc, which I'm so happy with that. This is just basically like the Conan Barbarian series, a series of occasional one-shot stories, but it's just Conan during his time at Dark Horse. This, of course, was the first title they published, called simply Conan. Not Conan Barbarian, not Savage Conan. They never published that title. They did publish a volume of Conan the Barbarian, which lasted for 25 issues. Yep, 25 issues. And I should also point out that this particular run here, this trade collects the first 6 issues plus part of issue 7. This is by far the longest ongoing series while Conan was published by Dark Horse. This lasted for 50 issues, and I believe Kurt Busiek wrote the whole thing. Yeah, Dark Horse had multiple different writers write each of the Conan books. You have people like Brian Wood, Colin Bunn. Yeah, he was actually also one of the last writers. Even Gail Simone got a chance to write Conan during a couple of crossovers he had with Red Sonja. Now, the whole thing, the Frost Giant's daughter, yeah, the thing with that is that Conan comes across this white, naked woman in the middle of the snow wearing nothing but almost like a cloth covering up her blowers midsection, but her hair covering up her breast. Yep, and she's sort of a seductress. And it turns out she's the daughter of Ymir, the King of the Frost Giant. Yes. But the character herself only appears for 1 issue. Yeah, it's the only time they ever dealt with Norse mythology in this series. Because mostly it's about Crow and stuff like the Crom, which he frequently swears to Crom in here as well. That's the thing with Roy Thomas. He loves having it where he swears to Crom. Jason Aaron basically kept that particular style of writing, and I believe Gary Duggan did too, because he did with a cult basically with the Crom. This, of course, he says Crom, but not as heavily as Roy Thomas does. Like goes to the snow. Aside from the Frost Giant story, the only other stories basically he has in here, it's just him like traveling. Like here's some of the interior artwork. It is so freaking good. Corey Nord does this fantastic artwork in here. Mostly we're just following Conan with his time as like a hired gun. And here's Conan where he looks his first appearance in a Dark Horse comic book. Yep. Excuse me. Reads some random women, does some slang like he normally does. And it just sets up like some loose plot threads you might see that sees explored. This whole thing you have like next issue, just Conan saying he won't be raped, or at least being beaten. Yeah, kills the guy by beheading him. Yeah, protects her. And in case you're wondering, when is he counted the Frost Giant's daughter? In issue 3, which had its cover basically recalled. Yes, because it depicted a nude woman. Yeah. Actually, here's issue 2 right here. I think this was issue 0, wasn't it? It was issues. Yeah, issues 0 through 6, and like part of issue 7. Yes. Here's the cover. The actual cover, they actually have it on Wikipedia. It's actually a lot more, let's just say, more revealing than this. Yeah, this is the issue that has the Frost Giant's daughter. Yep, and what you see her wearing on the bottom half of her body, that's all she wears. Yep, and she frequently tries to seduce Conan the whole issue. It's a great issue, and probably by far the most well-written issue of this whole entire trade that's published here. Yeah, and they occasionally bring up like, right after that particular issue, they can usually bring up the Frost Giants on it, but it's very rare they mention her. Yeah, but like with Conan the Barbarian, it's just a series of stories for Conan. Just because I think Conan basically just follow his adventures. And a lot of time he does wear this armor because that was a thing for this particular era. He would wear armor a lot, but wear this type of armor, which still has a little coin thing he would wear like around his neck here. Yeah, it's a very similar necklace. It's like they turned the necklace and basically made part of his woven cape. Yeah, and it seems though that Kurt Busiek had a pretty good idea what to do with Conan. So I'm giving this book roughly a 9 out of 10. Really good. Now the thing with this particular these issues is that because it's published by Dark Horse, they're more willing to show nudity and occasionally have foul language without having adult imprint attached to a particular title. Yeah, they're more willing to do that because they're independent title. Because they're basically not Marvel or DC, and they're generally one of like 3 companies that are in contention of being the third biggest company behind Marvel and DC. Those are considered the big 2. Dark Horse is up there with IDW and Image, basically as like one of the top 10 best companies in the country, because they, from what I have read of their comic books, they've never published a bad comic book from ones I have read. The Linkara has actually reviewed some comic books by Dark Horse, mainly the Thing comic books. From what I can tell, the artwork for the first series was really... I haven't read the Thing miniseries, there was like 3 of them. And they just basically were... He described them as pretty... like, they suck. I personally haven't read them yet, so I can't get an opinion about it. In the case of the Conan stuff they publish generally are really good stuff, and Kurt Busiek tries to keep in line with the original Robert Howard books, though they mainly publish out of order these stories. Now, when Dark Horse had the license to publish Conan, they had like a handful of ongoing series. There's Conan the Avenger, Conan the Slayer, Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Cimmerian, Conan the King. Yeah, it's like they always had like a subtitle with like the book. I would say the shortest title they published was Conan Road to King, but this is by far the longest one. 50 issues has lasted for. 50. Wow, that's just a long time. Marvel did publish a comic called Conan, but here's kind of thing with that one. Is that mostly that was a reprint series. This is a regular news story ongoing series. But it seems... Now, I get why... Now, the reason why I think... I do have a theory of why they call the first book just Conan. Why not call it simply Conan Barbarian? Probably to avoid confusion with the Marvel comic title, because They had just got the license in 2001. They probably just didn't want to book be associated with the title-wise with the long-running Marvel comic title, which ran for 275 issues. And thank you, Marvel, when they got the license back. Like, because all the books basically doing this now. They have it on the covers. You have this legacy numbering still there. They go back to the old dual numbering system, which I actually like that because we have a pretty good idea how many issues they publish. Though they kind of screw with the Punisher numbering, but that's for something else altogether. But I think that Marvel is. I don't think Marvel. Now, unlike the Star Wars stuff, which they published, like they basically took the old Star Wars stuff published by Dark Horse, but part of the Legends line, they haven't done anything for Conan because only they published. Here's kind of the thing of what they published so far for Conan. All they put in trade so far is just the two ongoing series, just the recent stuff. They haven't done anything of the old stuff yet for Conan. Not that I've seen, no. I would not be surprised if, because they have rights to publish Conan now, that they probably would do an epic collection for Conan. It's possible they might do that, but that all depends upon Marvel's publisher. It all depends upon C.B. Sebesky if he wants to do that. Yeah, it's all up to him or Marvel's new chief creative officer, Kevin Feige. I'm going to briefly talk about this since I'm here. I think this is a good move. Yes. Get Joe Quesada away from the position because Joe Quesada has been sort of controversial. He's been controversial since 2007 because, I mean, yeah, he did one really bad story people hate him for, but his successor was a lot worse than he was, Axel Alonso, where the guy was lying frequently in public. Yes, he lied a lot. He had multiple writers leave the company during his century. A lot more. Like, if you look at, let's say, Joe Quesada's century, any writers actually up and leave Marvel? I mean, like, one or two, but not like a lot of really big name writers. Though, since Steve Best came on board, I think overall about two writers have since returned to Marvel Comics. The first one, of course, was Jonathan Hickman. He came back to the company, and they brought back. They just brought back Roy Thomas, and I'm so happy they brought him back because the Savage Conan book is the first Marvel comic book he's published in the 1990s. Yes, and looking forward when it comes out in trade. Yep. But not much else to say about these two trades. Both of them really, really good. Okay? So that's it for this particular review. My next video I'm going to do is review of the newest episode of One Piece. No, not news share with manga because it's on break. It's not going to come back until Friday. Yep, it's going to come back to Friday, as far as I can tell. Yep. But to use next view. Bye.